Hey there, this is Molly. Welcome to my channel as we take a look at the Capricorn full moon lunar eclipse happening on July 5th, 2020 at 12:44 a.m. But keep in mind that is New York Standard Time. So this eclipse could happen for you on July 4th. Now this is the last and final Capricorn eclipse until 2028. And it is a big one, and I'm going to help you identify not only the energies in this eclipse, but the cycles it initiates in your life over the past 5 years. And a real quick note is that I appreciate those of you sharing with me how I was tapping with my pen and that's annoying. And you're right, it is annoying, and I wasn't doing it intentionally. So I'm going to be very aware of that going forward so that I'm not tapping. I don't want that to distract from the information coming through. So let's take a look here. You can see that the moon is at 13 degrees of Capricorn 37 minutes. When it is above 30 minutes, we round up to the next degree. So it's 14 degrees, and it is opposing the sun at the same point here, the same degree, 13 degrees of Cancer, 37 minutes. And you'll see too that the sun is widely conjunct Mercury at 7 degrees of Cancer retrograde. So every full moon is an opposition where the energies are asking to come into balance, to bring your consciousness to both areas of your chart. And the moon energy is actually the biggest, especially for a full moon, because that is where the energy is being illuminated. It's really fascinating to look at how big the full moon can be, right? When you consider how the sun is the biggest light in our solar system. So what we have is this dialogue in your chart between the moon in Capricorn and the sun in Cancer. Now, what I want to start with in understanding the bigger cycles that are happening is that the Capricorn energy is obviously very strong. I mean, we'll talk about this, right? We've got this lineup again. I'm going to talk about this. But what I want to focus on is for you to identify where 14 degrees of Capricorn is in your chart. 14 degrees of Capricorn, which house? Because here's how the story has unfolded. In 2015, Pluto was at this point in your chart. 2015 was at 14 degrees of Capricorn, January, July, and November 2015. Then in January 2019, Saturn was here at 14 degrees of Capricorn. Then February 2020, Jupiter was here at 14 degrees of Capricorn. So this point in your chart you have been working with since 2015, when Pluto really transformed this area of your life by house and shifted something powerfully. You faced a fear, you had big life changes, emotional intensity, something changed permanently and forever. It does depend on a number of different factors in a chart, how that shows up. But this is a significant point to understand. Then in 2019, January 2019, Saturn came through here and asked you to make some new choices and commitments around this area of your chart. And then earlier in 2020, February 2020, when Jupiter was here, Jupiter brought in a way to learn, expand, grow, do something, develop something, strengthen this 14 degrees of Capricorn. And now we have a full moon lunar eclipse, the third and final one in June, July of 2020, that is a turning point eclipse that is breaking something up, closing out, completing, ending, asking you to shift and change whatever has been unfolding for you in this area of your life over the past 5 years. It's a closing eclipse, okay? It's a closing, it's an ending, it's a completion eclipse. And it's asking you to do so by honoring your new power and your new sense of life direction or mastery. And of course, this could be stuff that you're still sorting out. This eclipse will help you. It will illuminate something you didn't see before. Now, these three players who have all been at this point in your chart, well, now they're still huddled up here, Team Capricorn, and Saturn is the ruler of this full moon lunar eclipse, now back at 29 degrees of Capricorn retrograde. 29 degrees is also a completion degree. So Saturn's helping with the loose ends, what needs to be taken care of, your responsibilities, your commitments, and that's going to continue until December 2020, because Saturn will be back here at 29 degrees in the early weeks of December 2020 before moving into Aquarius. So there's roughly we'll call it 5 months, where something is being completed and ended around your responsibilities, career, profession, life direction, anything that relates even to this house in your chart. So this is important to know because Saturn is helping take care of. This can even be contracts. This can be something that you agreed to, that you need to see through. You can't rush through it, that maybe you've been working on this since 2015, right? And there's still things that are being completed. And then we have Pluto conjunct Jupiter, both at 23 degrees of Capricorn retrograde. See how all three of these are retrograde? It's internal. It's internal power development. This Jupiter conjunct Pluto, you can't miss it. Like there's been something happening in your life, in your world that you're fully aware of. And what you're really working on with these really big energies is your own sense of purpose, your own sense of mission, of work in the world. What do you want to do in the world? How do you want to show up in the world? And the Pluto energy is your power and developing that sense of power within yourself. And this Jupiter energy is helping with learning something and being very clear about what is necessary for your soul growth. All big stuff, right? All very dynamic, very much focused on the Capricorn areas of your chart. Keep in mind, these could be two houses. You know, the full moon could happen in one house, and then there could be this conjunction of Capricorn planets in a separate house, in which case those houses are a progression or are showing you, illuminating one thing in this house and then showing you where it's also showing up in another area of your chart. So big, big, big. And this energy continues throughout July, by the way, the ongoing conversation between Capricorn and Cancer energies happens throughout July. So with this full moon, not only are we in this place of the work to do, what we have to take care of, what we are responsible for, we have to show up, we have to get things done, but then it's being, I'm going to say, softened by the Cancer energies. The Sun and Mercury in Cancer are bringing you into how you really feel. And so it would be valid and appropriate to say, I'm really tired. I'm really worn out. I'm feeling emotionally drained. I'm feeling a fatigue, because this Cancer energy needs downtime. It needs to rest. Shut the door. Don't talk to me. I'm going into my cocoon. This is balancing your needs, okay? Because so much is pulling us out here that this is saying, come back to your heart. Make sure that you're listening to what you need, how to comfort yourself, how to take care of yourself, what is best for you right now, and to not overwork it, which is easier said than done. But this is part of the messages of July, is the balancing, okay? The balancing of who you are now, how you feel, your emotional truth, even needing time to sit with something, time to move through something, and to just be in a space without an agenda. Because all of the Capricorn energy, it's agenda time, and there are things to be done and taken care of. And this is saying, you know what? I'm turning off my phone. Don't talk to me. I need a weekend to myself. However this feels for you, it's going into your feelings around, this is what I need to do to take care of myself. So make that a big part of this full moon lunar eclipse energy for yourself, is that you don't give everything to the world. or to your career, or to whatever the Capricorn energies have been requiring of you. You know, you come back to say, no, this is what I need. It's essential. This energy is also related to family, to children, to, you know, who you live with, to anything around your personal world, you know, your personal environment. So check in on this. And this Mercury is retrograde until July 12th, back to 5 degrees. So Mercury moves very slow. And I mentioned how it's a bit like trying to run in a pool, running in water. You don't get anywhere quickly, right? So just float, just surrender it, just give it up and allow yourself to be in the float, okay? And that can help too with releasing the pressure on yourself. The other thing that's strong in this chart is that the moon and Mercury, they square Chiron and Mars that are conjunct here in Aries. And this is where you're ready for something to start. You're like, let's get on with this new life, right? You're sick of the COVID or the quarantine stuff, or you're sick of isolation or going slow. And it's like this Mars is ramped up and ready. But that Chiron says, go slow. It's not quite time. And if you go too fast, you know, you'll get hurt, unfortunately. Like there is a tempo here. There's a pace here that needs to be honored. So there's strong cardinal energy in this eclipse, because you can see we have 4 planets in Capricorn, 2 in Aries, 2 in Cancer. So right there, 8 planets in cardinal signs, which are the initiators. Let's start, let's go. But there's this tension, right? Of, oh my goodness, it's not time, but I feel the pressure. So what can you do? What can you do then to make the most of it? Well, what we typically want to do is look for the trines. So look for any trines in your chart between earth signs or water signs that support this moon, or the 3 planets in Capricorn. Any trines, that is going to help you move the energy. And also, of course, any trines here to the water signs. Anything, even the fire signs that have any trines will help move something for you. And I do now have the July 2020 monthly soul growth astrology webinar live for those who want to dive into July and see more about the energies of the whole month. The link is below this podcast, and you can, or excuse me, this video, and you can use the code July 2020 to get it for $11. And I talk about this energy even more in the webinar. So it can help you see more of what is coming up for you as we move through this 3rd and final eclipse, and as we move through the turning point energies of July, because there is actually like a week in July that's really a little bit tough. So it's good to have a heads up on that. Now keep in mind, right after this full moon lunar eclipse, the moon is going to move ahead, and you can see how the moon is then going to connect with this Neptune at 20 degrees of Pisces retrograde. You can even say 21 degrees because it's at 20 degrees 55 minutes. So we round up 21 degrees. And the moon is going to receive support from Neptune in a few hours or so, actually probably about 10 hours, 12 hours after this full moon. But you can see how this Neptune energy is supporting Jupiter and Pluto at 23 degrees of Capricorn. So this is a release valve, this Neptune. And then the sun will get to 20 degrees of Cancer a week from now on July 12th. So this Neptune is going to help support dealing with this intensity, with the Capricorn energies or pressure. And it's going to help take you to other places within yourself, whether that's creativity, inspiration, spiritual perspective, detaching from it all, giving yourself a break, giving yourself some downtime. Allow this Neptune in Pisces to carry you. Allow it to be a deeper connection to your higher self and something that really supports what is needed right now as we move through yet another dynamic eclipse. And keep in mind, it is bringing up 2015, 2019, and February 2020. So this part of your chart has really been worked and reworked, and it's a completion energy of these cycles. So I hope this has given you some good things to think about as July gets underway and we have this closing, completing dynamic eclipse. One more thing to mention is that you can see the North Node is here at 28 degrees of Gemini. So the South Node is right over here at 28 degrees of Sag. There's my bad drawing of the South Node. The South Node at 28 degrees of Sagittarius is approaching the galactic center. And as that South Node gets to the galactic center at 27 degrees, it's a global clearing. It's a global release. And in the Sagittarius energies of religion, belief systems, education, what we've been learning, what is expired, opinions, righteousness, anyone who has been in an ivory tower would be challenged by this energy. It's replacing and removing what has served its purpose in a cycle, and it's often a refresh. So that's a big deal, and that will also be coming up here as we move through July. So thanks for joining me. I hope this video has given you some good things to think about, and be sure to check out that July 2020 Soul Growth Astrology program. And I will see you back here soon for another video. Thank you for your comments, your likes, and your subscribes. And I'm wishing you the very best as we move into the 7th month of 2020.